Welcome to the Muñiz Legal Podcast, From Injury to Inheritance.
Hey everyone, welcome into an all-new episode of the Muñiz Legal Podcast, From Injury to Inheritance, with attorney Lizzette Muñiz, the founder of Muñiz Legal. I am your host, Mike Leon. You know, she's born in Manhattan. She's raised in the Bronx. I know a little bit about that. Now serving clients all across New York City and the Hudson Valley. Lizzette's a bilingual, Spanish-speaking attorney who's been helping families recover after accidents and protect what they've worked for through thoughtful estate planning. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the invisible mental load that women carry and how estate planning can actually help lighten it. She's going to explain. I don't know how that's possible. We'll see in a second. Lizzette, it's good to see you. So let me ask you, why do so many women feel this pressure to be the default planner for the estate?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. This is a really big topic. It's something that I've been grappling with as a woman, even before the term mental load was coined. I knew what that was because I experienced it. But I think the reason why women feel the burden of, or feel the duty to carry this burden is, first of all, because we saw our mothers carry the burden. We saw our grandmothers carry the burden. And we see all the women in society carry this burden. We are the default planners. We are the holder or the keeper of information. And so we carry that burden.
No comment there, as the Hispanic male and watches my wife do all the planning. So, but let me ask you, how do unanswered what if questions kind of contribute to that mental overload that is sometimes felt?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty well known that uncertainty creates anxiety. And so the more certainty we can create surrounding a certain situation, I think that the less stress and anxiety we have about that situation. And so answering questions like, what if something happened to me? Who would take care of my children? What if something happened to me? Who would pay my bills? What if something happened to me? Who would make medical decisions for me? Getting those out of our heads, putting them down on paper can be a huge relief of the mental load.
So let's talk about that, because you just mentioned about putting it down on paper. So where does estate planning kind of fit into the conversation?
Yeah. So putting it down on paper starts with first putting it down on paper, thinking about these questions and, making decisions about who you want to fill those roles, but then ultimately solidifying that and memorializing that in a writing, such as in an estate plan, so that it becomes legally binding, right? It's not enough for you to think about it and say, this is who I want to raise my kids. You need to actually write that down and have somebody, notarize. You have to sign it before a notary with witnesses saying, this is what I want. And then it will go into effect when you pass away or when you become incapacitated or whatever it is you choose to put in your estate plan. And then you can stop thinking about it because you know what you want. You've made it clear to everyone around you what you want, and you've written it down. And so you don't have to worry anymore.
Lizzette, you mentioned something that I wanted to follow up on, because I think a lot of people assume the estate planning is just about death. That's it. You died. But how do you kind of reframe that so people understand it's more than just about dying? There are other parts to it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no. So an estate plan is not just a will. And as a matter of fact, in today's day and age, a will is not nearly enough, right? For most of my clients, I'm recommending trusts in addition to a will, because a trust keeps you out of court. Now, with regard to how it affects you when you're alive, you're living your life, you're making your plans, you're going about your business. But what happens when something unexpected happens that incapacitates you, or you have some sort of disability? Who's going to make financial decisions for you? Who's going to make medical decisions for you? So estate plans allow you to live your life knowing that not only if you die, but if something happens to you that makes it so that you can no longer handle your own affairs, you have put a trusted person in place to do that for you.
And not only that, I'm sure you can expand on this. I've seen this with my own family, but having a plan reduces family conflict. Am I right?
Absolutely reduces family conflict. I mean, I've seen situations where people don't do an estate plan because they say, my kids will handle it. I'm sure they'll do the right thing. They're not going to fight with one another. And unfortunately, that is not the world we live in. And it doesn't happen like that most of the time. So I'm going to give you an example. Somebody owns a home. I'll let my kids deal with it when I pass away. One of the kids lives in the home. And now the parent dies and the other two kids want to sell the house and take their share. And the kid who's living in the house doesn't want to leave. Now there's a fight about that, right? Talking about how it affects people when they're alive. Mom has a stroke. She can no longer verbalize, or her desires. She's unable to make medical decisions. And now you and your siblings have to decide, do we take her off the ventilator? Do we keep her on the ventilator? When the parents make those decisions before they pass, they don't pass that burden on to their kids. There's nothing to fight about. The kids just have to look at, what did mom want? They look at the estate plan. What did mom want? Okay, we're going to honor her will. This is what mom wanted. There's no decision to be made. There's nothing to fight about.
Yep. Saw it happen in my family, a personal story, but we'll save that for another time. But let me ask you though, because you gave some simple examples within there, right? Oh, it's just one house, they'll take care of it later on. Like, what would you say to a woman, somebody, anybody who feels that their situation is just like, it's just too simple. Like, I don't have that much stuff. I don't need an estate plan. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah, even if you don't have that much stuff, everyone needs a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy, right? Because if you become incapacitated and can't pay your bills, you need someone to do that for you, right? If you become incapacitated and need someone to make healthcare decisions for you, you need to designate someone to do that for you, right? So it's not about what you have, it's about honoring your values and your wishes in the event that you become incapacitated or pass away.
Lizzette, how does estate planning, or how have you seen it kind of align with ideas that folks have, like vision boards, intentional living? Like, how have you kind of seen that in your time doing this?
Yeah. So actually, this has come up a lot now because it's new year. Everybody's doing their vision boards and their goals for the new year. And so, for example, for my vision board, I like to travel. So I have travel on my vision board, right? So when my daughter was younger, I remember that feeling of getting on a plane with my husband for the first time without my daughter and thinking, oh my God, what happens if something happens to us? What's going to happen to our daughter, right? So with the vision board, you plan the life you want. And with the estate plan, you protect that life that you've created for yourself so that you can go on that trip. You can jump out of that plane. You can go skiing down the mountain, whatever it is you want to do, and not worry, because if something happens, you have everything in order, everything's in place, everyone will be taken care of financially, health wise, guardians, all of those things are in place. You can enjoy your life.
Well, I'm not jumping out of that plane, but yes, you can jump out of that plane with a plan. Lizzette, as we put a bow on today's episode, one small step, a recommendation you would make for someone that's listening to this. It could be a male, it could be a female, but we've been talking about women and how they take most of the pressure here. Like, what's one small step you would advise them to take that can help them start lightening their mental load?
Yeah, start writing things down. Start asking yourselves the questions, and if you have a partner, talk about it with your partner, have that conversation and start writing things down. Because when you come to the attorney to create the estate plan, a lot of those decisions will be easier for you to make because you've already given it some thought and gotten it out of your head and had that conversation with your partner if you have one. Also, if you're single, start talking to people who you might want to serve in different types of roles and capacities. So if you want somebody to be the trustee of your trust, if you want someone to be the executor of your will, you want someone to be your healthcare proxy or your power of attorney, start talking to people about that. Think about, who do I know who would be willing to do this? Who do I trust who can do this? And who's going to be responsible enough to do this for me? Even just thinking about those things and writing them down, putting down 2 or 3 people that are good options, that will help lighten the mental load.
Yeah. Lizzette, thank you so much for the time and the insights explaining this to the audience. I appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure.
That's it for today's episode of the Muñiz Legal Podcast, From Injury to Inheritance. Look, if this convo resonated with you, you'd like to learn a little bit more about all the work that Lizzette is doing over there to bring clarity and peace of mind to her clients. Do me a favor, visit muñizlegal.com. You're going to find all the resources there in both English and in Spanish to help you protect what you've worked for and the plan and the intention for your future. Thanks again for listening. But before you go, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, leave a review and comment, or share the episode with someone who needs to hear it. I'm Mike Leon. See everybody next time.